Hello, welcome to Mr. C's Biology. Today we're talking about monohybrid inheritance ready for A-level. So if your mum has brown eyes and your dad has blue eyes, what colour eyes do you have? That's what we're talking about when we're talking about inheritance. How do we inherit characteristics? Some keywords we need to know. So these are chromosomes on the left-hand side of the screen. We've got two chromosomes. They're bound by a centromere in the middle. And the bit that I've circled in yellow is the locus, the position on the chromosome where we have a gene. And a gene codes for one characteristic. In this case, this is the gene for eye colour. And we have different options for this gene, different types of eye colour, whether it's brown or blue or green or grey. And so the options that we have are alleles. To keep it simple, we're just going to imagine we've got two options for eye colour here, brown eyes and blue eyes. So how do we work out what colour eyes I have? Well, firstly, we need to pick a letter. So we're going to use the letter B. Capital B is going to be for brown. That's because it is dominant. Brown eyes, if there's a brown eye option, a brown eye allele present, then brown eyes are always expressed. We use a little b for blue because it's recessive. So when you have blue eyes, you have to have both alleles, one from your mum and one from your dad. And only if you have both of those alleles, both options together, then you have blue eyes. So let's imagine that my father has brown eyes, and that is because he has got two big B's, two alleles that say brown. And because he's got two of the same, that means it's homozygous. So the word homozygous, homo means the same, and zygous is to do with the alleles. Now, my mother's got blue eyes, so there's two B's there, but they're both little. And they have to both be little because otherwise she wouldn't have blue eyes. If she had one blue, one brown, then that would be brown eyes. And now we've assigned them to our parents and we've split up the possible gametes. So the gametes, basically, if a parent has two copies of a gene, one copy on their maternal side and one copy on the paternal side from their mother and from their father, we say that their gametes, their sex cells, either egg cells or sperm cells, they will either have the possibility of having their maternal allele or their paternal allele. So in this case it would be split up and it would either be the big B from the mum or big B from the dad. Then we work out what is the genotype outcome. So the genotype is what is the genetic makeup for this certain section. We can match up how we go in our little Punnett square, that's what this diagram is called. And so we have a big B from the top, a little b from the side, and we have that for every single outcome. In this situation where the parents are both homozygous, one is homozygous dominant, so that's the brown eyes at the top here, and one is homozygous recessive, that's the blue eyes on the side there, then the only outcome is this big B, little b, so it's heterozygous because they're different alleles, and it would come out as dominant because the brown eyes only needs one allele to be expressed, and so the phenotype is the expression of the gene itself. And so in this case, because it's big B, little b, we said it only needs one to be expressed, so my eyes in this case are going to be brown. Now imagine that I have my eyes of big B, little b, so I have brown eyes, and my wife also has brown eyes and has big B, little b. What would happen there? So again, we've picked the same letter, we've assigned it to the parents, which is us in this case, and then we think of the possible gametes. So in each sperm cell, it's either going to be a big B or a little b. So this time 50% of the sperm will be big B or little b, and 50% of the eggs will also be big B and little b in the mother. And then if we match them up, we see what genotypes might come out. So big B for 25% of the offspring, little b for 25% of the offspring, and big B, little b, and big B, little b for 50% of the offspring. So that's the genotype percentages. So we'd say this is 75% and then 25% for each of them because there's a quarter of a chance. But then the other thing we need to take into account is the phenotype outcome. What about the actual colours of the eyes that might turn up? Little b is going to be blue eyes, but everything else is going to be brown eyes, either because it's homozygous, because we've got our two big B's together, or because it's heterozygous and that leaves it brown eyes as well. So 75% brown and 25% blue. So hopefully that gives an idea of what actually are the outcomes of this, and using our Punnett square is a really good way to map it out. The key with this sort of question is just to practice. The more you practice carrying out a Punnett square, making sure you worked out what the parent gametes are and the outcomes and the percentages, the more you do it, the easier it becomes, and eventually it'll just become automatic. So give it a go. And I've put a sheet in the description that has got a few practice questions in there for you. Have a go, draw it out, do it lots, and you'll get better at it. Stay tuned and we'll carry on talking about inheritance in the next video.